As all of us know, COVID was a really hard time for many of us here in Central Florida. In fact, there was a fundamental shift in the way many people worked. Some started working from home, while others were laid off completely. Still, some found side gigs, hustles to try and make ends meet. So I became curious about those people who wanted to take that side hustle and start an entirely new business. What does it take to start a new business? What does it take to be an entrepreneur? So recently I sat down with a man who has made it his mission to help those new businesses succeed. So join me now as we go on yet another gorgeous reflection of starting new.
So my name is Rupert Meghnot, and I am a human being. I am an entrepreneur and project manager, and I'm here to leave the world a better place than whence I came. I first got into gaming doing a VR project for Martin Marietta back in, I think it was 88, 89. A lot of my clients, my consulting clients in the mid-90s were simulation companies, modeling and simulation, this is the world center for it. I mean, literally all of humanity comes here to do modeling and simulation. And so for a couple of years, I'm learning what the customer wants. I'm learning about, not just the customer that purchases the system or uses the system, but the people, their customers who are using the system and putting their money in and all that. And I said, I'm sitting at a bar one day, and I spent the whole night drawing out designs so I'm designing some things and whatnot. And the next night I'm sitting at a bar, and I see this guy next to me, and we strike up a conversation. And I said, what do you do? And he says, I'm a mechanical engineer. I said, oh really? What's your passion? What do you like? He says, I like simulation. And I said, motion simulation? And he said, yeah. And he pulls out of his backpack this big white three-ring binder, and he starts showing me these designs for these motion systems. And I pulled out my spiral notebook, and I said, and we spent 4 hours there, and we're talking, and I'm saying, oh no, you got to have the legs longer to distribute the weight, otherwise blah blah. And we're just going through there and designing this stuff, and we designed something on a napkin. And in 90 days, we had our first prototype up and running. And it was a full motion helicopter simulator. And then I patented that. But the thing is you needed content. So content, at the time I was licensing from Hasbro Interactive and Infogram, but it was $100,000 a year. And so kind of like a Top Gear episode, how hard could it be, right? I studied game development, and for about 6 months, and I put a team of 9 people together, and we spent like 73 grand making it, and made 2.2. And I said, apparently not that hard, right? And I'm looking at the industry, and I'm going, they have a 5% failure or success rate too. And it's like, this is not tenable. This is like, people are wasting trillions of dollars and time, money, and effort to create companies around the world, and they're failing at a fantastic rate. And I'm looking at the game industry, and I said, I'm going to use my processes.
From that point forward, Rupert made it his mission to share his processes that were proven with other businesses. No matter the industry, it might be another software simulation, it might be a restaurant owner, or it might be somebody starting a company for an entirely new product. So I asked Rupert, what were his top 3 things that a new business owner must do?
Number 1 is meet with other entrepreneurs. Number 1, by a large margin. Just meet with us. Come talk to us. What's our journey been like? What are the challenges that we've been going through? Find out those things first, because everybody romanticizes, with Shark Tank and everything else, everybody romanticizes entrepreneurship. Say, oh, I want to be my own boss. What they don't realize is they go from one boss in the corporate world to 500 bosses as an entrepreneur, because every single one of your customers is now your boss. In the corporate world, you have a very structured environment. Everybody has their processes, whether they work or not. You have your politics, you have all the other stuff that goes along with it and the baggage and all that. Plus you have all the resources and the things you learn and the relationships you create. Many of the most successful businesses started from people that worked together at a corporation and then decided to start their own business together, right? But they had that support. The vast majority of entrepreneurs are solopreneurs, and they just, like myself, and they go out and they start things on their own, and it makes things so much harder. So number 2 is get a team, right? Get a team. Get people around you that are helping you with your dream and who adopt your dream. They have to have that passion too. Because if they don't have that passion, then they see another better purple squirrel, they're going to be gone, right? And then form your team, get the people around you. And then the third thing is plan. Just got to have a sufficient plan, because Eisenhower, who basically it took Hitler like 6 years to conquer the world, and it took Eisenhower 1 year to kick his butt, right? And he said plans are worthless, but planning is everything. And it's true. And a plan is worthless because the moment you put ink to paper, it's obsolete. The thing is, though, is that with the right plan, it sets in motion the processes to manage that change, right? You have to manage it. You have to take advantage of your opportunities, and everybody talks about risk. Oh, we have to mitigate risk. Well, you want to mitigate your opportunities? They don't know anything about risk. Have a plan, okay? And so I use my own proprietary business model canvas for my people and my clients and the companies that I invest in and the companies that I start and so forth. And this is how you make a successful company. So understand your why, make sure you have a dedicated team around you, and do sufficient planning.
So once you have your why, your team, and have a plan together, Rupert had advice on where you can find some additional resources.
One of the things that I do that's been very dear to my heart is 1 Million Cups. And so 1 Million Cups is put on by the Kauffman Foundation, the Ewing, Marion Kauffman Foundation, which is the largest entrepreneurial organization in the world. So every Wednesday morning, we have 2 entrepreneurs come in and educate us about their business idea, and then the audience educates them for 20 minutes. And it's a wonderful experience. If you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, you have aspirations of it, if you are an entrepreneur, you want to be around your tribe, there's no better education. It's a great group of people. Here in Orlando, we started in September of 2013. We have more than 700 entrepreneurs have pitched. We've had 2 unicorns and 6, I found out the other day, a 6th Shark Tank appearance from people that pitched it at our 1 Million Cups. So that's a great first thing. Get educated, educate yourself. There's 300 entrepreneurial and business service organizations in Central Florida, which is crazy. And people don't know about them. They don't know about 1 Million Cups. They don't know about the National Organization of Women Business Owners. They don't know about, the U.S. Small Business Development Center at Seminole State or at UCF, or, and it's like all these are offering them free stuff if they just knew what they, to ask. And then I started Orlandopreneur to help educate them and show, because I'm partnering up with everybody, all 300 of these organizations, and I'm saying, we're going to just put it out there in front of people. But personally, what I do is obviously in these circles, I meet many, entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. And so what I do is I started a program called Meal with a Mentor, and I had number 359 yesterday. And basically I sit down with them and I listen to their stories and what's keeping them up at night and what their concerns are. And I tell them, I say, first of all, it's not rocket science. And that's the name of my book, by the way. I show them that all the reasons why people give for their business failing, running out of cash, and no market for their product or service, go figure. Poor customer relations, poor product, things like that, investor relations. All these things are not reasons of a failure. They're symptoms of the only one failure reason or cause, which is just poor management, and more specifically, project management. And so I sit down with them, and I've developed my own tools to help them develop a foundation upon which they can pivot, because that's another reason why they don't last, is they built a castle on sand. And they totally, you ask them why they started their business, they don't even have an answer for you. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're risking your retirement savings, your marriage, your children's custody, I've seen people lose all these things, including their lives, unfortunately. And it's like, for what? And you don't even know why?
Starting a new business is a tremendous challenge. And in the face of all the obstacles, I asked Rupert, what gives him hope?
What gives me hope? Well, believing in, in the ultimate hope, which is, God, the universe, and positive energy. I see a lot of hope every Wednesday morning when I go to 1 Million Cups. We just had an 11-year-old girl, the youngest girl to ever present at 1 Million Cups at Orlando. So her mom started coming and bringing her from Kissimmee, an hour drive every Wednesday morning, brings her daughters with her. And so she's in gaming. She likes games. And this one game called Roblox. And Roblox allows players to create user-generated content, so they can create their own parts of the game and whatnot. So she started doing that. And she's passionate about it. She's excited about it. She's like telling me about it because, I'm in gaming. And she's like, and I told her, I said, we met on a Friday morning, and I told her, I said, put a pitch deal together and, come present it at 1 Million Cups. I didn't mean next Wednesday, 4 to 5 days from now, but I, do it. And she said, next Wednesday. So she came up there, and next Wednesday we had a last minute vacancy. Just put her in there and said, go to it. And it was wonderful to see such a young mind have that passion for creating something. And so that was a spark, and that gave me hope. It gives me hope when I meet people and I talk to them and I see the light go off behind their eyes, and they're like, oh, I didn't think of it that way, or I didn't know that, or that's a great idea, or even better, how can I help? Right? Because, that's what I always ask the first thing. So it's like, hope is everywhere. It's where you look for it. It's where you find it. It's like opportunity and beauty. I know it when I see it. And all you got to do is look for it and you'll find it.
Hope is everywhere. And I hope that this episode gave you a little hope, especially if you're one of those people who is starting new. I want to thank Rupert for sharing his tips with us, and perhaps you'll take advantage of the more than 300 resources he talked about that are available for new business owners right here in Central Florida. Now, of course, all of these videos are leading up to our opening art reception. We have an art exhibit coming up at the Mills Gallery, where a portion of the proceeds will benefit Second Harvest Food Bank. I'll be there, as will many of the people that I interviewed. I hope you'll be there too.